our Smarter Start Bootcamp is designed to help people who are in business understand everything about, starting the business, running the business, making sure that things are set up properly and in compliance, showing you how to find out where things are. And one of the things that we talked about so far this morning is the fact that there are people who they have someone else set up their company, or they may have been following the instructions of a business coach or a business advisor or a consultant, and they go in and they do certain things, but they may not know where to go back and find what they did, you know or if there has to be changes, they don't know how to amend, their companies. If it's an LLC or a corporation or any other entity that has to have a state registration, they may not know where to go and make those changes. If they need to shut it down, they may not know where to go to close the company. And so we're going to be going over all of those things in the Smarter Start Bootcamp. We'll also be talking about things like, supply chain management. Some companies have to order inventory and they may not know how to keep up with their inventory. So we'll talk about things like first in, first out, as opposed to other types of inventory management, and we'll talk about software because sometimes you need software to help you, manage the inventory. But we'll also talk about inventory management for people who have service owned businesses. It's like, is that a thing? It is a thing. Some people don't realize that if they have different types of services, they need to have a roster, a register, or some type of document or online process to help them keep up with all of these different, productized services that they have. For example, at Red, we have lots of different courses. And so we have to have a way of keeping up with all the courses that we have, a list, if we can call it that, but some type of inventory management so that you can actually go back, and you need a price sheet. People will ask you, how much does this cost, or how much does that cost, or is it free? You need to be able to have those items on some sort of a list with a price sheet. So we're going to provide you with some templates for those things, a template for a price sheet, a template for these types of inventory management. We'll give you the software that you can use for free for a period of time. And then I think it costs like $10 after the first month or something like that. But it does really provide you a way of having a smarter start for your company, or even if you're restarting, rebooting, or upgrading, it gives you that ability to do that. And so we'll be doing that on Saturdays because, Saturday's kind of my day to clean house. So we're going to clean house with our businesses on Saturdays and make sure that everything is running structurally, is running properly. Okay. So like I said, it's different than Mondays. Mondays, we talk about business structure. We're going to be going in commercial mode. We're going all in on making sure you understand what happens with your business. But on Saturdays, it's all about keeping it real, making sure that it's 100% everything is supposed to be. And, if somebody asks you for a document, you ought to be able to just go and pull the document. There's a way that you can structure a folder on your computer where you know where to find everything. And so we'll talk about what are some best practices for keeping documents on a computer. And that we're going to start there this morning because I think that it's really important for you to understand the and embrace the management side of what you do. And so I want everybody to say this, if you're at home by yourself, or if you're at home with somebody else, it really doesn't matter. I want you to yell it as loud as you possibly can this early in the morning. So that might be a whisper because you don't want to wake up the whole house, but just say, I am a manager. I want you to say that I am a manager. Yes, you're a manager, and besides the fact that you might be the chief executive of your company, you also have to be the manager of the processes and procedures. You might be overseeing things. You have to put things in place, but you are the person that initially sets the tone for your company. When you start a company, you are that person, that sets the tone. Nobody else is more important than you are in the company. And however you start is how things will run if you are not careful to put other processes in place. So if you start and you're not careful to have, structure, then you won't have structure in your company. Things will just be all over the place. You won't know where everything is. So let's kind of start from here. Okay. As a manager of your company, okay, you need to put in place some processes that you follow and that you want everyone else to follow. So if you are like many of us are right now, we're running our businesses from home. We're running our businesses mostly or primarily online. You do maybe have some front facing hours with customers, but for the most part, things that you normally would have done in a office structure, maybe before the pandemic, now you have taken to your bedroom or a portion of your bedroom or to the living room or to the den, or maybe you have an office space in your house, that you have dedicated to your business. And we have to realize that one of the things that people have had a disconnect with, we received a grant some years ago when the pandemic first happened, to launch what's called Virtuosity 101, and that's teaching people how to do business virtually anywhere. And so that grant helped us to get a lot of companies from their offices on to an online environment because of the pandemic and everything was shut down. They couldn't physically go to an office for a period of time, and that time got extended because of some of the legalities and some of the liabilities that companies could face if someone got COVID on their watch or at their location. A lot of the lawsuits that were ensued in, especially in Texas, caused people to take everything online. It's like, okay, you know what? As much as I can do online, we're going to do. And if we have to meet up with somebody in person, we're going to do it in an environment where we are not, we're not going to be having a lot of people coming in and out. We just want to minimize our risk. And so, of course, everybody was masked up, and sometimes we had to have the spray people come out to the spray. I'm being funny, but we really did experience some things every Thursday at our office, and at that time we had 7 offices in at a location. There was a larger office with 7 smaller offices, and on Thursdays, every every Thursday at about 4 o'clock, we had to shut down early because here comes the guys in the white suits with all of this stuff that they were spraying, to keep us safe. They were sanitizing and making sure that that any type of virus that was of the caliber of COVID was not left standing when they finished. So that was a whole process that we had to go through, and we had to post something on our in any place that was public to let people know what our procedures were and how we were keeping people safe and what we could and could not do or would and would not do in our environment. So, that was a new normal for us, but a lot of people opted not to deal with that, and they opted to keep everything at a level where it was all in a computer or over a phone. And so we have to talk about what happens, you know, and what's different, okay, when you are working in an environment where you're at an office and when you're in an environment where you're at home. Okay, so well, the first thing that I think about is how you dress and what time you start. I see people who are all over the map with that. And for some businesses, having that kind of flexibility really doesn't matter because of the kind of business you do. But I would say for me, okay, and for those who I've coached and people who I've advised in business, I have found, and my clients have found, that when they get up and get dressed, there's a whole different atmosphere. It doesn't matter whether they're doing business in their bedroom with a background or doing business in their kitchen at the bar, the breakfast bar with the background or not, or if they've created a space. What really sets the tone a lot of times is how they prepare themselves to be in the office at work, okay? And having that demarcation of at 7 a.m. is when I start, or at 8 a.m. is when I start, and at 4 p.m. is when I end is really, really important. Balance. is so important because I have been the person, I was already working online when the pandemic happened, and I had been online for a long time already, although we had several offices. Primarily we served clients online because we had clients in different states and in different countries where we couldn't physically get there, to see them that often. We're going there now, we're going to different countries and different states now to service our clients, but at that time we just weren't. We weren't able to make that happen as easily, as we are now. And so, what I'm saying to you about this is really think about your business and think about what you need to do to make sure that you are having a best practice for how you're running business. Are you the business that everybody says, well, I don't know what time they start? They might be working, they may not be working. I don't know, well, let's just call, okay, to see, or, we don't know if they're going to be available. They say that their hours are this or that, but, they're working from home. I mean, are you that company? Or are you the company that people say, you know what, they're very professional and we expect that they have office hours and they have a way that we can reach them. We can set up an appointment, to get time to talk with them about this particular service. Do you have a procedure for that? And so let's kind of look at what types of things you can put in place, to make sure that happens and that it works well. Because there's sometimes, I know we have changed systems probably 3 or 4 times for the management of appointments and scheduling. We've changed systems even for the management of letting people know when we are available. And so I want to kind of share my screen in a minute because I want to make sure that this is something that you are able to see. Um, and it makes sense when you start off utilizing a system where everybody has access already and you don't have to create something where you are reinventing the wheel. So let's talk about what that system is. Well, everybody uses Google. And because everybody uses Google, or most people are using Google as their point of entry to the internet, it's really important that you take the time to set up your Google My Business profile. And why is that? Well, because when you set up your Google My Business profile, then you can take advantage of the power of Google, I should say, and make sure that people know where they can find out information about your business. And when they find out information about your business, it's a really, really wonderful for them to be able to go to Google instead of having to call your office to find out what time do you open, what time do you close. I mean, how can I gain access? Can I set an appointment? Okay, so I'm going to share my screen and we're going to go to Google and we're going to look up Red Worldwide because it's important for us to kind of have a model here so we can be looking at it. So let's take a look at Red Worldwide. So we're going to put in Red Worldwide's name, not its URL or its address online. We're going to put in just the name of the company because by doing that, we can search Google and find out what Google says about this company. So, what Google says about this company, I'm actually in the back office because I'm logged in. So, it's going to show me my business on Google, which is great because I can see that I have about 296 customer interactions this week, on average. And so that was good. And so my profile strength looks good according to Google. It tells me that there's some reviews and some messages that I could read. And so all of this kind of gives me a way of really managing the back office of my company online. Okay. I mean, I can actually see the performance of my company. I can advertise, I can edit products, I can even take calls. Wow. Right here from Google, and so I don't have to pay for this. This is a free service that you can use and you can get, I mean, real good information about who's coming to your company, who's visiting, and what it is that they're seeing. And we have, ads that we run. We have some Google ads that run that tell people about offers that we might have. We even go in here, we put in videos and things so the people, and we can have a map, in here. We actually have the map in there so people can find out where we are. And interestingly enough, let me just kind of go down here so you can kind of see. Um, there's some Google reviews there. Our address to our office is here. Our office hours, it says that we are open, which we are today, and we close at 3 p.m. And our phone numbers, we can even put our fax number here. There's lots of information that we can put, but if you click on the directions, it's going to take you to a map and you can actually put where you are, and it'll tell you how long it'll take for you to get to the office from where you are. And it says from where I am right now, it'll take me 21 hours and 12 minutes to get to my office because I'm not in the state where our office is at this moment. But just saying, this is really good information that people can find out about your company. And if you own multiple companies or run multiple companies, you should have a separate Google My Business account for each one. And I'm going to tell you why. Because you can use this also to differentiate for people when you're available for what thing. So let's just say that your office hours are, you know, and you can click on hours and it'll tell us what the office hours are here for Red Worldwide. But you can look at all of the office hours for every day. We're closed on Sundays, we're closed on Fridays, we're open at 7 a.m. and we close at 6 p.m. So if you have different office hours for different businesses that you might run, this would be a way of letting people know when you're available for what thing. Okay, so it's really a very good way to help people understand what you do. People want to book with us. We can click here on Red Worldwide Bookings, and it's going to take them to the part of our website that is the calendar because I've connected it to do so. So they can go here and see what we have going on today or what we have going on this week, and they could also load more and get an opportunity to see the exact calendar if there's other things that are happening. Okay. They can also see, our courses because all of that is available on Google. So some people don't necessarily have a full website. They might have a landing page, but specific things about their landing page will be available based on how they put in the information on their website for search engine optimization. And we're going to talk about that in a later session. But really, what that is just optimizing your website so that people, when they search certain things about the company, they can find it. And based on that, it really, really helps you. It tells you where to find us on Facebook and that we have a 5-star rating on Facebook. It tells you where to find us on Great Nonprofits, and we have a 4.9 rating with 25 reviews on Great Nonprofits. It tells you where to find us on GuideStar so they can find out information about how our company is run and if we're in compliance and if we're still, a nonprofit that can receive donations. Okay. It tells you where to find us on Open Corporates. Okay, so all of this information is available on Google. I mean, it's a whole page of stuff about us, so you can utilize this in a really, really good way to make sure that there is not a situation that you have in your business that people don't know about. And when I say situation, I mean your hours, your products, your services, how they interact with you. All that can be shared with a person right here on Google if you take a little bit of time to set it up. Okay, so let's talk about how do you set it up. Well, the first thing you do, if you are not already set up with Google, you can go to, if I'm going to open up another window here, a new private window, and I'm going to stop my share and I'll reshare because I want to show you, if you are trying to set this up for the first time, how that would look for you. So you would go to Google My Business. Okay. And right here, the first thing that comes up is Google Business Profile Get Listed on Google. Okay. And so basically, it gives you the ability to get started by setting yourself up and you could put in the information about your company by, clicking on Manage Now, and then it will help you to start with creating an account, which is down here. And so you can create the account and follow all of the information that is requesting of you all the way through so that they can verify you. So when you get to a certain point and you put in an address, Google will have to verify that you're located at that address. And sometimes they will have to send you a postcard to your mailing address to make sure you're actually located there. Because some people, their information may not be as widely accessible. And so for that reason, Google may not be able to find you. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong. It just means that they don't find you very easily. So for that reason, what you can do is just go through all the process, wait the 7 to 14 days, get the postcard, and then continue. But fill out everything that you can as, make it as complete as you possibly can so that Google has all of the information that it needs to verify your business. But once they verify you, then you'll be able to sign in and go into the whole or go through the whole process of beginning to place in your hours and put in, if you have multiple locations, if you're not a company that has a physical office, there is a way for you to manage that inside of Google as well. And people don't know this, but you don't have to put an address on Google for people to pull up at your home if you're doing business from home. It's not the kind of business where people should be able to just pull up, at your house. So you can, put in the information there, that you're an online business and your online business does business over the internet and how people can gain access to you. I would say that you probably want to make sure that you have things available within Google, like what is your privacy policy. Okay, if you're doing business online, you need to tell people, how you're storing information, if you're keeping the information, if they go to your website, whether or not they're going to be, at risk of somebody getting the information from their IP address and they're phishing, you know, um, opportunities from your site or whatever. You need to tell people how your business is set up. So let's kind of look at that. We're going to look at um, the Red Worldwide's privacy policy and some information, just so you can see that if you're doing business online. Remember, I talked about we're starting smarter. So since we're starting smarter, we want to from the very beginning have these things available for people to see. They need to know how you do business, and they need to know how they can gain access to the information that really will tell them that. So I'm going to kind of go all the way down to the bottom of our site. You can go to the site later if you want to go and look at all of the wonderful stuff that's there. But I'm just kind of scrolling down to the bottom because I want to show you something. At the bottom, we have our refund policy, how they can get back to our homepage, how they can, if they want to come to work for us, they can click on join the team, or if they want to volunteer, they can click that as well. Um, they can click our support link if they have websites that we have built or that we're hosting. They can get support here. Our terms and conditions, our privacy policy, and our cookie policy. All of those things are located at the bottom. And let me just tell you something. We did not have to develop every one of these out from scratch ourselves at the beginning. We did at some point go in and change things because we have lots of uh, services that we offer online. And so we need to cover everything. But there is a place that you can go to set up a privacy policy, terms and conditions, and even the COPA, your COPA privacy, as far as how children under the age or over the age of 13 can be protected if they're on your site, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I'm saying these are really important things. And so the one place that I went initially when I was trying to get a privacy policy, um, set up, for free. And I want to say, let's see if this is still there. Um, I don't, hold on. I believe it's privacy policy. Hold on. Generator. There we go. All right. Privacy policy generator. So you can get a free privacy policy in minutes. Okay. And you can actually place it on your website by going to termly.io, termly.io. And when you get there is this, privacy policy generator that you can create, and it has compliance there that helps you to comply with all the laws. Some of you guys that attended our Q4 summit might remember we had a special guest there that came on and talked about the fact that if your website is not ADA compliant, meaning that it's not compliant for people who are universal, it doesn't have a universal compliance there for people who may be hard of hearing or maybe deaf or maybe blind or other types of might have other kinds of restrictions, physically. And if you don't have those things taken care of, you can be fined. And so it's important for you to understand what those particular things are and how do you come into compliance with those. In the meantime, you can set up or generate privacy policies, generate terms and conditions so that you have the ability to make sure you are completely compliant. So you should be able to see here where when I click over products, there's a privacy policy generator, a cookie policy generator, an acceptable use policy generator, a return policy generator, terms and conditions, a EULA generator, disclaimer generator, shipping policy generator. All of those things are there. You even have the ability to have cookie consent, cookie banners, cookie scanners, and consent management platforms, okay, these are paid services, I believe, down here. But these other ones I think are free. And I would tell you that this is a really, really, really good thing to put on your website from the very beginning. So for minimal compliance is free, and you can continue for free. And then for some of the other compliance issues that are a little bit more extensive, you can have these 2 legal policies of the 4 or 5 that they offer for $10 per month. Now, at some point, you may decide that you want to have your own generated. And so, what I will say to you is, we can help with that. We have a part of our company that's called Red Media Group. And some of you guys don't know anything about Red Media Group, but I want to tell you that it's out there, redwebmedianow.com. And what we do on Red Web Media is we sell domains, we build websites, we do hosting, we put security on websites. In terms of security, when you purchase a website from us, it's automatically secure. We give you SSL if that's the security license that comes with your website. But then there are levels of SSLs that you might need depending on the kind of work that you do. And so we have levels that we'll sell you. We have also marketing, SEO marketing and email marketing. And then we have email addresses that people can purchase when they buy a domain through us, and I think they get 1 or 2 emails for free. And then if they need more than that, they can purchase, so we have these services that are available. And, with those services, if you need assistance with some of the things like the privacy policies and other policies, and the free service is no longer working for you, on the Termly's website, and you are looking at this from a standpoint of, what, I think I need to have my own policy that's crafted out specifically for me. We have connections with a legal service, and we can actually have those things drawn up for you, and you will own yours, and you can put it on your website, and it belongs to you, and you're not having to pay a monthly fee for that. So when you kind of move from the point of where, okay, this is serving me now, but it's no longer serving me, and I need to go with something a little bit more expensive, we're here for you. Okay. And I need to make sure that you know that. All right. So let's kind of look at what, the privacy policy could entail. Well, in this particular case, our privacy policy has to entail a lot of things because we, on a daily basis, are doing work with people in which we're collecting information through our website. And when they put that information on our website, we have to make sure they understand that we protect their data, whether they're in the United States or outside of the United States, actually meets the general data protection regulations. Okay. And it goes through what those are. And if they're in the European Economic Area, there's certain protection rights that they have, and we meet those as well. And we had to go through and do what's called an audit in order for us to make sure that we're meeting these restrictions and compliance issues. So initially, the company that Red Worldwide purchased all of its services when we got started from had gone through something with Nexus Lexis to make sure that we were compliant in areas to do business in a physical location and also on the web, which was quite an extensive thing. And if you are doing business where you are keeping people's information, and I don't care whether it's anything from their identification information by state, or whether it's you have to collect for whatever reason a social security number or anything like that. It is really important that you are clear on what you can and cannot do, and how long you are going to be able to hold that information, and where you're going to store that information. Early on, with one of my first companies, I had a data breach. And I'm sharing this because I really want you to be aware that there are times when things happen that they're without outside of your control, and so um, personal data that you might collect, or even purpose and legitimate data that you're collecting, um, sometimes can be very uh, dangerous for you to hold in places where a person's data could be at risk. And so data security and data retention, these two things here that are in our privacy policy, this is something that became what it is because of an incident that occurred. All right. We now have gone through classes for data security and data retention to know how long we can keep a person's contact information, identity. When we're talking about personal identity, their driver's license, their state ID card, or their passport, their financial and transaction data. We had an incident that happened just recently where a client had placed their card on their file, and it automatically ran at the anniversary date, and they didn't realize that they had placed the card, and it was not their intention for them to have the card run without their noticing that that was going to happen. And it was for a significant amount of money. Now, yes, we of course returned the funds, but at the end of the day, they signed something or clicked something inside of our system that gave the system permission to keep their card on file. We don't keep cards on file. That's not a process that we have. And you'll see when you go to our website and look here, it tells you that we don't do it. But if we are processing your card payment through Stripe or through PayPal or through any other card processor, and you tick the box that says, you check that box that says, maybe keep your card on file, or I would like my card kept on file, for, automatic processing. It's going to do it. And there's nothing that we can do about it, except if you ask us to, we can take it off. But for the most part, if you authorize it, then the system will do it. Now, we have to be aware of how that affects a client, and we also have to be aware of new laws. There was a new law that went into effect last year that stated that we have to give clients a 30-day notice, letting them know that their membership is going to expire. And if they have a card on file, it will automatically renew if the automatic renewal feature is turned on. Some people don't read their mail. And so in this particular case, a person that doesn't read their mail may end up with a charge that didn't necessarily. I mean, yes, they wanted the card on file, but they may not have taken into consideration, the amount or what else could be going on in their life. So I am sharing with you as the business owner and the manager of your company. Okay, even if you're not the owner of the company and you're just the executive or the manager, it is your responsibility to place your policies on a public website so that people can know what they are. Because in the case of a lawsuit, which we haven't had a lawsuit, thank God, but we've had people do chargebacks on us or ask for a refund. And I could point them to the refund policy and they could go and read it for themselves where it states how long they have, to actually ask for a refund. You cannot ask for a refund 3 years later and expect that you get all your money back, for a service that we already provided just because you figure out 3 years later that you weren't really satisfied with the service. That's not how it works. And in the realm of the kind of work that we do, we have to make sure that we have, a legitimate, process that makes sense for our clients and for us, because it has happened where somebody did a chargeback and they charged back every single, before we had a policy, they charged back every single service that they had done with us on a particular card, okay, for the entire lifetime of them being with us, which happened to be like $3,500. And so that was a lot of money for us at that time. And it overdrew accounts and did all kinds of things. And I was like, oh my God. And I had to go back and look that there was no refund policy on our website. And even though in the contract, the modified contract that I had, which was our saving grace, the contract that I had with them actually had a policy in it. And I was able to submit that policy to PayPal, which is who we were using at the time. And no, it was Square. It was Square. And Square had to, you know, actually abide by the policy that we had and look at all of the documentation. And we won and we ended up getting all of our money back, but it cost us something to win that. Months went by. It took 6 months for that thing to go away. So what am I saying? I am saying to you that the best way for you to be a very good manager is for you to make sure that you are constantly looking at the management side of what you're doing and making it easy for people to do business with you. So since you're on the internet anyway, and that is your online office, then what do you want to make available to your customers and prospective customers? You want to make sure that they know how they can do business with you, what your policies are for specific things, and also how they, if they're not satisfied, how they can get a refund or what they can do to make sure that they are satisfied. Sometimes being satisfied is knowing exactly how to break up. Just saying. Okay, so I have a client. Oh, actually, one of our members that are on right now. I have a situation with a company that I want to speak. Oh, okay, wonderful. Regarding a refund. Okay, we can do it online, offline, in a few minutes. We'll be going offline in a few minutes, and I have a few minutes afterwards, so we can take that call offline for you. Absolutely. And here's the thing. You know, when it comes to refunds, I'm going to share. I share my screen one more time because I think it's important for us to look at what a refund policy could look like. Okay, and we had to go through some, extensive process to get a policy that not only was that suited us, but we felt could work for us, but also was legal. Okay, because the interesting thing about refunds, right, is that it really does depend on the kind of business that you have as to what type of refund you want to offer a customer and when a refund is still available and what other recourse they may have if a refund is not even possible at the time. And you don't have to necessarily do it the way we do it. I'm just telling you how we had to, what we did. We kind of modeled after other companies that provide similar services as we provide. So I have had a person ask for a refund on something that actually was a scholarship to them, and they wanted us to refund them money based on the fact that it would have cost them for them to use our services. They weren't happy with the service, and this is years ago now, but they felt like they should be paid some sort of an inconvenience fee for the services that they weren't happy with. And there were some specific reasons because they had an expectation of something that we never conveyed. We don't know how they got that expectation, but they thought they were getting something that we didn't offer. And when it happened that they found out that we didn't offer that, they didn't want the scholarship. Okay, fine, that's wonderful, but they also wanted some sort of a fee, to break up. We don't have that. We're a nonprofit. We're not in a position to offer you anything more than what you would have paid. I mean, if you paid anything. And if you didn't pay anything, then we don't have anything that we can give you back. But I just thought that was the weirdest thing. But people do sometimes have an understanding that's different than the understanding that you have for your company. So you have to publish. You hear me when I say this, you have to publish your policies when you're doing business with people. If it's not in a contract, okay, then sometimes having it on your website does help, because some services you may not have a contract. It may be a click and they provide the services provided and there was no contract involved. It just was they get access. Okay, so you need to make sure you have, these policies available and tell people where the policies are so they will know how to go and find it. So consent. We have standard operating procedures for refunds of its services. Red Worldwide does. By agreeing to use our services and initiating payment through a deposit for services or payment in full, you consent to our refund policy and agree to its terms. That was something that was, shared with us, through legal, that this is how people are engaged. You engage them through the deposit or payment for the services in full. If they pay you, then you're in a relationship. Okay. And that relationship is in our estimation, what establishes your ability to use our refund policy or not. But you agree to its terms if you've paid for services. And that's why it's important for you to publish where people can find, the services, the policy for the refunds. Okay. And then in our case, we have a 45 calendar day request policy. If you don't request for a refund within a 45 calendar days, then a refund is not available to you. And then we even tell them eligibility. To be eligible, you must provide a copy of the receipt or invoice number to verify the purpose, copy of the correspondence verifying the receipt, of requested items or assets required to proceed with the requested services. Now, why did we do that? Let me explain. Okay, this is really, really, really important, because sometimes you didn't provide the service because a person didn't give you everything you needed to have to provide the service within the amount of time necessary. I have a client that right now, he purchased a service over a year ago. I asked for certain documentation. Please fill out the form so we can complete the services, that you ordered. And he never filled out the forms. We offered to give him assistance with filling out the forms, and he didn't show up for the appointment to fill out the forms. And then he contacted us and asked us for a refund. And I had to point him to the refund policy. But the thing is that he never gave us everything we needed to help him. And so for that reason, he wasn't eligible for a refund. He could have been eligible for a service credit toward future services if there were extenuating circumstances that kept him from giving us what we needed. And that request was made within 90 days, we would have still given him a service credit. But we're talking about over a year later. So in this particular case, was he eligible? No, he wasn't. But out of the kindness of our hearts, we decided to let him know we are still willing to provide the service to you if you will fill out the forms, or if you will show up to an appointment so that we can help you fill out the forms. Because with that said, we can still give you what you paid for. And we're willing to do that. You know, do we have to do it? No, but we chose to be that company that if someone is having a problem or they just, for whatever reason couldn't get their life together so that they can give us everything we needed to do it, we want to be here to help you because that's, who we are. But once you request a refund, we review it and we notify you that we received the request. The system automatically does it because we put something in place, a type of software that when they request a refund, it sends them an automatic email that says, we've received your request. And we will notify you of the status of your refund within 48 hours of our receiving the request. Then they know we've received the request. If their refund is approved, we'll initiate the refund to their credit card or their original method of payment. If it's not approved, we send them something saying that, unfortunately, we cannot approve your refund at this time, and this is why. And what we do is we go back to this policy. Per our policy, you had 45 calendar days to request a refund from the date you initiated services. You initiate services by payment through a deposit for services or payment in full. So, with that said, they could only receive the refund if they met the requirement, if they were eligible. If they're not eligible and they're eligible for the service credit, we tell them that in that letter. And if the service credit is approved, they are literally notified, and we give them a sort of coupon that will allow them to apply it to another service that they offer. And here they put everything here and they click submit. And from there, they are able to get the access so that they can give us anything else we might need to make sure that, we can process it, like the receipts and other things that we need to see. Now, you might ask, why do we need a copy of the receipt or invoice if you know that you provided the service to them? Well, here is the reason why. Because sometimes you have a situation like we had where there was a partnership and one partner wanted a refund, the other partner wanted to continue with the services with us. And so we needed to be able to verify that the partner who was asking for the refund had the ability to even ask for a refund, and that the other partner that was involved knew that this person was asking for a refund. We needed to also be able to see the correspondence verifying the receipt so we could see who it was that made the payment. Because if one person made the payment and the other person wants a refund, that could, be a problem, especially if it's a situation where the other person wanted to continue with the services. So, there are all these other types of complexities. And for that reason, we just made it so that we needed to see what you have. If you have the receipt, if you were the one that made the payment, it was your credit card, not the other person's credit card, and you guys are having a breakup and you want to cancel the service, then we need to be able to see that you are rightfully able to do that. If the other person is wanting to continue with the service and you guys are, they're going to end up with the company and you're not, we cannot give you a refund for something, even if you paid for it, if the company is the person who is using the service. So we have to, be able to evaluate all those kinds of things and make sure that this is something that we really can do. Well, I hope that this has been something that's been helpful, and I want to open up for questions and answers, right now, so that if you have a question regarding anything we talked about today, privacy policies, terms and conditions, refund policies, or any other policy, you want to talk about, a standard operating procedure, we want to go ahead and answer those questions right now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
I think I have a few questions, right? I understand that this is right, starting smarter or smarter starter, however you're wording it. But these tools are good for whether it's profit or nonprofit businesses?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's Smarter Start Bootcamp. That's what we're doing on Saturdays. It's Smarter Start Bootcamp. You can, understand, that this is for all types of businesses, yeah, you can understand that. But I want to be very clear about what it is and what it's not. Okay. All right. This is not intended to replace you utilizing a business advisor, business consultant, attorney, or any other service like that. We are educational in nature only. Okay. So we are going to be providing you with educational tools and information that's verifiable and credible, but we are not intended to replace your professional, okay, that you have in your life or that you should have in your life. We're just really trying to give you a smarter start with your business and helping you to look at what it is that you need to do to properly set up the company and have it running efficiently. And if those things are not in place and you've been around for years, we are here for you as well, because we know sometimes people get started and they don't even think about a privacy policy or terms and conditions until somebody decides to sue them. Okay. you know, or for that, ask for all their money back. And it ends up being a situation like in my case, they go to their American Express card and do a chargeback, and American Express take all the money back for every service that they've ever done with us, or you. Yeah. So I'm saying that this is to help you avoid some of those issues.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Anybody else? Any questions? Jerron, I see you on the line. Is there anything you want to add to anything that I've stated? Okay. All right. Well, then, with that said, we're right about 3 minutes in to the hour. Let me just say this. In the Smarter Start Bootcamp, I'll be posting pretty soon a list of what we're going to talk about each episode. So, you can kind of know what to expect in it ahead of time. So, where you'll look for that is it'll be available on the calendar on our website. Okay. So, on the calendar, you'll be able to go there, and where you see the classes that are there right now, redworldwide.org/calendar, you will also be able to see the list of Smarter Start episodes that we'll be doing. And we'll be actually working, and when I say working, I mean working some of this out online. I'll be going in here with you and posting things up there, and then you can actually go on your computer and pull it up, and we'll just walk through every step. So when we come, within the next couple of weeks, we're going to walk through how do you get an EIN number and what boxes you want to check and what boxes you don't want to check on that form. Because some people don't know, if you're an LLC and you put in there that you're a single member LLC, then if you don't file within a certain period of time, the 8832 form, you're going to be looked at as a disregarded entity. And or if you are a husband and wife and you put on that form that you are a multi-member LLC and you put that you're husband and wife, if depending on how you fill everything else out on that form, you could be looked at still as a single member LLC, and everything could pass through to you all if you're in a state where there is community property. So I want you to be aware that when we go through the process of doing an EIN application, you might have already done one. You may say, I know how to do that. I get on here and get my own EIN number all the time. There are some things that you don't understand because maybe the laws have changed. Maybe the rules have changed. They change what happens inside of the form and put that information on the new instructions, but the instructions are not something that you're looking at a lot of times when you're filling out the form. And unless you click on the box with the little question mark or the little I, you don't necessarily know that something has changed, even though the information that they're requesting is the same. The way that the information is being interpreted might be different. So it's really important that when we have that session, that you come to it or that you go and look at it later. Because if you are getting EIN numbers and you're putting certain things on the EIN number, the only information that the IRS has about your business a lot of times is based on what you put on the EIN number application. And when you start getting something saying that you owe taxes and that the estimated amount that you owe is based on this, they're basing it on the type of business that they believe you are because of what you put on your EIN number application. I want to say that one is a freebie today, even though we're not doing the EIN right now. But I need you to understand that when you interact with a public, governmental entity and you give them information, they believe you. Okay, so when you put certain information on a form and that form goes to them, they're going to operate based on the information that you gave them. And when you start getting things in the mail, it's generally because, not because they're investigating you, because you told them this is what you're doing. And so they're now looking at what you should have been able to accumulate based on other businesses like yours. And if you have an estimated tax, it's estimated because you told them this is the kind of business that you're in. So be really careful. And we're going to go through it, fully in a couple of weeks, but be really careful about what you put on applications that you fill out that go to public governmental units. And that's the Secretary of State as well. If you give the Secretary of State information, that information is going to your Department of Taxation in your state. And so if you told them you're a certain type of business doing a certain thing, when they look at it, if your state has a state tax, that state tax is going to be assessed based on what you told them you were doing. If you don't do your taxes on time, they are going to estimate what you should have paid based on what you told them you're doing. And when you go to shut down your company, if you haven't paid taxes or whatever, they're going to estimate what you should owe based on what you told them you're doing. So I am saying to you that it's better to be really clear on what it is that you're sharing in the realm of information with a governmental entity so that they can, and you can interact with them properly and you can participate in the system, in a way that makes sense for your organization. Okay, with that, we're going to jump out of here, and we'll see you the next time, Monday morning, here on Co-working Live with Red Worldwide.